Mm.
Hello. Yes. Good evening, all of you. Is my voice audible? Okay. And I hope the screen is also visible to all of you. The screen is also visible. All right. So, okay. Good evening, everyone. And we would like to thank you for attending this introductory session. This introductory session is about a new course that we are starting. That is design and detailing of a structural steel building, and this would be covering StatPro as well as manual. All right. So this is our new course that we are coming up with, and this is the introductory session that we are going to conduct. And I am Ashutosh Kutuble, and my wife Akanksha Kutuble. We both of us would be taking up this course. I will introduce Akanksha after a little while. So we will straight away start with our session, and let us start with the agenda that we plan to cover. Okay, so this would be a brief introduction of this course that I would be first giving you. This would last for around 30 to 40 minutes, after which we will take all your questions that you might be having regarding this course or otherwise also. So, whatever questions you have, uh, yes, I think there is some audio issue, so we will increase the audio volume. Okay, so okay, no issue, clear voice coming. Okay, so Mr. Dilesh, I think you need to check audio at your own end. So the agenda of today's session will be that first we will discuss what is the need for this course. Then we will tell you about our firm, that is AuxEn, and our design firm, that is KCEPL. Then we will discuss about us. We will tell you, okay, about both of us. We will tell you in some brief. Then I will tell you how this course will flow, what are the inclusions, what are the things that are excluded. Then I will cover some general guidelines regarding this course, how to proceed ahead, and then in the end we will take all your queries. Okay, so you can just collect all your queries that you have, and then we will take all the queries at the end. Understood? So let us start. First of all, why is the need for this course? Right. So, what is the need for this course, and why did we think that this course is important for engineers like all of you? So, we have been conducting courses in the past for around 3 months. We have been conducting online courses. Before that, we used to conduct offline courses. So, every time, whenever we have conducted a course, we have tried to conduct a course which is on a topic that is relevant and important to engineers. Okay. So, first of all, what is the relevance and what is the importance of this course? So, as you all know, that structural steel design and structural use of structural steel finds large application in industrial buildings. I mean, for steel buildings in industrial structures have always been preferred due to some obvious advantages. And nowadays, if you see, uh, steel structures are more and more being used in your commercial structures also. Okay, so in the commercial scenario as well as in industrial structures, your steel is getting more and more preference over your RCC. Okay, there are some obvious advantages and some obvious reasons why steel structural buildings are used more and more these days. So the first, I would say, what is the major reason because of which we are using steel structures? Because of the liberty and because of the flexibility that steel structures give you. Okay, so steel structures give you a lot of flexibility. They give you a lot of liberty to play around with, and then you have the flexibility to add or subtract elements quickly from your steel building, which is generally not possible in your RCC construction. And then nowadays, due to the advent of PEB, pre-engineered constructions, where you assemble things on site and they are fabricated somewhere else. So due to the advent of pre-engineered building systems, steel buildings are finding more and more importance these days. Okay, so due to these obvious reasons, you see that steel structures are nowadays used in commercial also. Industrial, they were always pretty extensively used, but nowadays they are being used in commercial spaces also. So therefore, it is important for a structural designer to know more about steel construction and steel design. But there are some issues with steel design. The major hindrance is that I would say uh, steel design is not taught very well in our colleges or during our education. So we were fortunate enough that we were taught steel structures in a good way during our college. But I find that many people do not undergo proper training in steel structural design. Therefore, you will see that lot of designers are not comfortable in steel structure design, but they are pretty comfortable in RCC. Okay, so in RCC design, people are comfortable, but in steel structures, they find some discomfort or they lack some skills to go with steel structures. So that is one issue because of which this course becomes important as per according to us. The one more hindrance to using steel structures in design is that you are restricted in steel structures by their sections. So in RCC, as you know, that we have freedom of using any section or any section that we design, we can cast it on site. Okay. So in RCC, you have a lot of freedom, but such freedom is generally not available to you in steel structures because of lack of sections. You have some standard sections available to you, uh, which you have to choose and play. I mean, play with. Okay, you have to play around with the available sections. You cannot go for customized sections always because these steel sections are manufactured in a controlled factory environment. Okay, so this is one major hindrance, but this hindrance can also be turned into advantage for us if a designer, if a structural designer is creative enough, and if he or she is able to use some basic imagination, then we can develop lot of sections from the standard sections that we have. Okay, so steel design needs a certain amount of creativity and some amount of imagination on the part of structural designer. If the structural designer has these two qualities, then they can come up with very imaginative and cost effective structures. Okay, so if you want to be creative and if you want to be imaginative, then you need to understand the basics about steel structural design. And therefore, through this course, we plan to uh, cover all the basics that are required for steel structural design. And we will also try to uh, understand, or we will also try to make you understand the concept and the logic behind steel structural design, so that you also can be creative enough when you go for your practical projects. Understood? Uh, then another aspect because of which steel structure becomes very important is that you have to design, or you have to take care of lots of actions. You have to take care of lots of design actions. uh, you have to design for torsion, axial forces like compression, tension. So there are a lot of design issues that you have to carefully uh, you have to carefully understand and consider into your design. Plus, one more challenge that we face is that you have to very properly design your connections also. So connection design generally is not important in RCC because RCC we go for cast in situ structures. Okay, but here we are doing, we are joining two dissimilar elements together, and we are trying to create a system out of dissimilar or discrete elements. Okay, so when we are joining these discrete elements, we join them together by help of connections, and therefore the study of connections again becomes very important. So in steel structure, you have to basically understand steel structures at two levels, or I would say you have to understand the design of steel structures at two levels. One level would be your member design, and the other level would be your connection design. So you have to take care of both, and therefore steel structures or design of steel structures become all the more challenging, and it needs to be carefully done. Understood? So this process becomes lengthy because you have to take care of lot of actions, you have to take care of various levels of design. So this process becomes lengthy sometimes, and therefore you may not always be able to rely on your manual calculations. So it is better to have some software to help us out. And so therefore in this course we would also be taking up software, which would be StatPro. So this course would be a mix of your manual design as well as software based design, which would be StatPro. Understood? So this is how we would be moving ahead. Now, if you see some images that I have taken from the internet regarding the general steel structures that you find, so you are finding some moment frame structures. You are finding some. This is one industrial shed that you can see. There are few. I think one of this bottom left image is the your parking structure. Other structures are your top left image is an industrial structure that you can see. Okay, so as I told you, the application of steel structures is more for commercial and industrial, more for industrial, but nowadays it is also being used for commercial structures also. And one thing that you will see in steel constructions generally is that you nowadays see lot and lot of hollow sections being used, and you find extensive use of plate sections. Okay, so even though you have a large variety of steel sections available to you, these two sections are the most commonly used sections for your steel structure. So what were those two sections? Hollow sections are more and more used these days, and your plate sections are extensively used. Plate sections have some obvious advantages, uh, and hollow sections also have some obvious advantages. And due to the advent of new welding techniques and better fabrication techniques available nowadays, these sections find extensive use in steel structures. Okay, so when we are discussing or when we would be discussing during this course, we would be emphasizing more on hollow sections and plate sections. Okay, uh, I mean, once the logic of design is clear to you, then sections do not matter as such. But still, we would be emphasizing more on hollow sections and plate sections because they are extensively used. Understood? So even if you see this image, all the 4 or 5 pictures that you are able to see, you will see most of the sections that are used are plate sections over here. Understood? What do I mean by a plate section? That you are using 3 plates to create a section. Okay, so generally you have got a flange plate and you have got a web plate, and you join them together to have your I section sort of geometry. So when I say plate section, it means a I section shape having flanges and webs. Okay, so these are most extensively used, and therefore we also in this course would be emphasizing more on these two sections, hollow sections and plate sections, so that when you take up some actual projects, you are thorough with these two section design. Okay, and once you understand the logic behind design, sections will not matter as such, but still we would be emphasizing more on these two. Then yes, we would. I would like to throw some light on these two firms. So KCPL is our old firm, which was established in 1995, and we do lots of civil consultancy projects. We are basically a civil engineering consultancy firm, and we work in industrial structures, industrial designs, commercial structures, residential structures. We do a lot of warehousing, logistics projects also. We also do repair, retrofitting works, forensic engineering, project management. So we are involved in all these things. Then in 2015, me and my wife, we diversified and we started this training firm called as AuxEn. And this was started with an aim to be able to share whatever knowledge we have acquired during the design consult. I mean, whatever knowledge we have acquired in design consultancy. With that aim, we started this firm with my wife in 2015. So since 2015, we have also been involved in providing trainings to students, and we conduct some RCC courses, and we also started conducting steel design courses during the start of this year. Uh, we have conducted several seminars and workshops and training sessions around Madhya Pradesh, few in Maharashtra also. So we have been doing these activities. So if I just share you, these are some of the projects, uh, just few of projects that I am listing out here. Few of design projects that we have undertaken. So you are seeing some warehousing projects. You must be seeing a cement plant done over here. Then this is a residential bungalow. Then you have a bridge. So we do diverse projects in steel also, RCC also, industrial, commercial, everything we do. And these are some pictures of the sessions that we have conducted during our training. So all these are offline sessions that we used to conduct before. So you see Akanksha also in few of the images. These are some pictures. These are photos of some seminars and some technical lectures that we have conducted at various forums. Then since March, when this pandemic situation came about, so we had to stop taking the offline sessions because of the obvious issues of lockdown and everything. So then we shifted to online. Some of the students also forced us to start taking online sessions. So we started taking online sessions. And since July, we have been taking online sessions, and we have conducted 4 online sessions till date. So they have been conducted on different topics which are of advantage and relevance to practicing engineers, students, faculty members. For everyone, these topics are of relevance, and topics which are not generally covered in your day-to-day learning or day-to-day education. Okay, so we started with a course which was about design and detailing of flat slabs. Then we had a course on design of plate girders and its application to PEB systems. Then we recently, this course is just about to finish now, design and detailing of horizontal systems with ETABS. And the fourth course we took was, again, we repeated the flat slab course. So that is also now completed. So 4 such courses we have already taken, and this would be our 5th course, which would be based on design of steel buildings. So we always try to take courses which are generally not covered very well during your regular learning because of the obvious limitations of time. So we try to take such courses, and we have had very good participation from all across India for our courses. So that is the power of online, that the job you become independent of the geographical limitations, and you are I mean, many students from across the country were able to connect. We had few students from Middle Eastern countries also, so that was also a good positive, I mean, it was a good thing for us. And we have always got very good response by the learning enthusiasts, and all the students who have attended have shown lot of affection towards us. And it I mean, your affection and love towards us obviously gives us enthusiasm and also gives us a sense of responsibility that it is our, I would say, duty to share whatever knowledge we can with you, and that will always be our endeavor, that we will try to share whatever best we can during this course. Understood? So we had some great experiences. These are some images of the actual course that runs about. So if there are some past students attending the session today, so they will see that the background has changed a little bit. So that is because we are conducting today's session from our office and not from our home, because there were some technical issues. So we had to come to our office to conduct today's session. Otherwise, the normal sessions we conduct from our home, because we have a board over there. So if you see in the image, we have a whiteboard which I use for explaining concepts, and then I also use my laptop. So this is a mixed, a blended kind of course where we use laptop plus board. Okay, so this is how we conduct our course. Then, yes, few things about both of us. So, as you know, I have already introduced myself, and I did my engineering from Indore GSITS in 2009, and then I worked for 2.5 years in a multinational company called Dar Alandasa Consultants at Pune, and then in 2014 I came back to Indore uh, to work in our consultancy firm. And then since 2015, we have also been involved in these trainings with my wife. So this is how we have been, doing stuff over the past so many years. Then my wife Akanksha, she is also, uh, she has done her engineering from Kota, and she is also MTech from IIT Roorkee. And then she has worked in several multinational consultancy firms. She has worked in ACOM, she has worked in DAR Consultants. And then we also, we together moved back to Indore in 2014. And since 15, she has been involved in trainings as well as consultancy. So this is how we two have been doing work. So I will invite Akanksha over here to just give her brief, just to have a brief interaction with you. So, Akanksha.
Hello, hi. Hi, everyone. Welcome to all of you. I'm Akanksha. Ashutosh has already introduced me. This will be our fifth online course. I will be taking care of all your doubts and other things. And we both will make sure that no doubts of yours are unresolved. So I hope to see all of you in our course. Okay, see you soon. All the best.
Okay, thank you. So we move ahead. Now the important thing, that how our course will flow and what things we plan to cover. So this would be a sort of a focused course covering the important issues related to steel structural buildings. So we will try to start from the very basic, so that if you are, if you are totally unaware about structural steel design, and if you are totally unaware of about steel buildings, we will try to start from the very basic. Okay, so we will start with understanding various types of structural steel systems and various types of frame systems that are generally adopted in your steel buildings. We will start with the very basic. Then we will try to understand about the various types of sections that are used, about the section properties that need to be considered in design, about the section classification that has to be understood as per your IS 800 2007. We will go to that. Then we will discuss about how to create a model in your StatPro. So all the modeling stuff, and how to model everything, how to apply loads, how to go for analysis. This all thing we will discuss. Then we will discuss that how do you design your section. So all the actions that are important in your steel section design, we would be covering all those design actions. Then we would be doing all these things in STAD also. So design we would be trying to cover by manual methods as well as through STAD Pro. So that once you have faith or you develop faith in the working of STAD Pro, then you do not need to go for manual design every time. But once the faith should be developed, okay, and for developing that faith, you need to be able to cross check. You need to be able to cross check your manual calculations plus software based calculations. Okay, so you need a good mixture of both. And once you develop the understanding and you develop the confidence in the working of software, then you can rely on the software results. Understood? So we will learn these design actions through manual methods also, and then how to verify and how to cross check them in STAD. Then, as I told you, a very important aspect about steel design is connection design, because connections are equally important. I would say more important sometimes to your member design. So we would be focusing on connection design also. Then some detailing aspects and some special considerations that you need to keep in mind, that we will discuss. And as I told you, I will try to focus more on hollow sections and plate sections, because they are more extensively used when it comes to steel sections that are used in steel buildings. Okay, so I will try to focus more upon the issue of plate sections and hollow sections. So these are the broad topics that we would be covering during this course. Then of course we would be taking up an example of an actual project when we are thorough, or when we are through with all the topics of the course. Then we would be taking up an actual project, and then we would be doing it from the scratch right till the end. Okay, so this is how we plan to do things over the duration of this course. And this would be around 30 days course. And generally when we give timelines, generally the past students know that generally our timelines get exceeded by I mean, generally the timeline gets exceeded by a few days. Okay, so for us the timelines are not that important. What is more important is that everything should be covered during the course, so that I mean, at the end of the course you should be confident enough with the learnings. Understood? So then these were the inclusions. Now, if we have understood the inclusions, it is also important for us to understand what things will not be covered. Okay, so we will not be covering design for wind and earthquake effects, because in itself that is a very large topic. I would say you need another 15-20 days just to discuss wind and earthquake in a proper manner. So we would not be considering or we would not be taking up wind and earthquake over here. Wind, I will give you some basic understanding, because generally in steel structures you need to apply wind loads sometimes. So sometimes, as in some type of buildings, wind loads become important. So I would try to give some brief outline about the wind force, and I will share you some documents which will help you in understanding how wind load is calculated. Okay, so this will be excluded. Design for wind and earthquake. Design of all the RCC elements we will exclude, because that again in itself is a very long topic. So we will end at the pedestal level. Okay, generally pedestals are the concrete elements upon which we rest our steel frame or steel building. So we will go right up till the base plate design, but we will stop over there. And pedestal design onwards we will not be covering, because it is a part of RCC. So that we will not be covering as such. Design for cold form sections we will not be covering, because that in itself is a different ball game altogether. It requires some more understanding at conceptual level. So cold form we will not be covering. So these are three exclusions that would be there. I would be focusing more on steel buildings that are more and more used these days, and I will also give you, or I will also tell you about the PEB sheds. So in some brief, I will give you a brief outline about the PEB pre-engineered building sheds also, and pre-engineered buildings or building systems anyway we are going to cover. Okay. So the exclusions, I hope I have been able to properly communicate the exclusions to you, because it is important that you know what is not going to be covered during the course. Then there are some basic expectations that we have from you, that we expect that you have some basic working knowledge of STAT. So we would not be starting discussion on STAT Pro from the very basic. We would like to expect that you have some working knowledge of STAT. I'm not saying that you have to be very good at operating STAT, but some basic knowledge of STAT, that what is a node, what is a member, how do you apply loads, all those basic stuff. Okay. So we expect that you have some basic working knowledge of STAT. Then uh, our course will be a blend of board teaching plus screen teaching. So it would be a mixture. We would be covering few issues on the board which have to be written and solved, and then few issues we will cover via presentations, via software. So it would be a blended kind of a course. We would try to, or not try to, we would be allotting time at the end of session, at end of every session, for your doubt solving. And I mean, your doubts will not go unresolved. So all your doubts, and when I say all your doubts, I mean that all your doubts would be taken up. Okay. We also would be providing limited validity videos to you. Those videos would be typically valid for around 3 to 4 days after the completion of the particular session, so that if someone of you is missing, or if someone of you misses the session on a particular day, he or she may have a look at the video to maybe to uh, to apprise themselves of the issues that have been discussed. Okay, so we would be providing videos to all the registered participants after each session. So that would be given limited validity videos, and people have told me that these videos have been very helpful for them, because sometimes maybe the speed, maybe my speed is sometimes faster as compared to their understanding. This generally does not happen, but let us say if someone is not able to understand something, and he or she wishes to have a review of those concepts, so these videos help a lot. Okay, we would not be giving any sort of notes after session, because I personally believe that notes are best understood when you take notes on your own. So I would request you to make notes on your own after each and every session. You can make notes during the session, or if you are comfortable, you can watch the video afterwards and then take down notes. But taking down notes, trust me, they are they are a very effective form of learning, and that will add to the overall learning experience. Okay, so take notes on your own. You are all I mean, engineers, we all are engineers, so we are habitual of taking notes on our own. The expected outcome, what we believe, or what we would like to have you, or what we, I mean, what we expect that you would be knowing by the end of this course. So we expect that you develop an understanding on the sizing, proportioning, and classification of steel sections. That is the very basic which we will be starting with. So at the end of the course, we would expect that you understand all these things. We expect that you would be able to manually design your steel sections. We also expect that by the end of this course, you should be able to create a STAT model on your own. You should be able to apply loadings, go for analysis, take the design results from STAT, and you should be adept at working with different building systems that we expect from you, and we would be covering all these issues during the course. So uh, generally, when if you are regular and if you are sincere throughout the course, these all things you would be understanding. Okay, by the end of the course, then we expect that you should be able to design a building system on your own on Stat Pro by the end of this course. Okay, so these are the expectations that you should have from this course, and uh, I mean, at the end of the course, all these things you would be clear about. Okay. Okay. Then yes, of course, connection design will of course be covered, because as I told you, connection design is an important aspect. So connection design will of course be covered. All the major and important connection types that need to be understood will be properly covered. Okay. Then there these are some general guidelines which I generally give to students. Now you also must be doing a lot of online courses or online sessions here and there. So all these guidelines would be now well understood to you all. So few things that I would like to tell you, that yes, if you are, let's say, attending the session on mobile, then have your laptops ready with you, because some days we would be doing practice on Stat Pro. So during those times, you would be using your laptops. So have your laptops ready if you are attending sessions on your mobile. Then have a copy of your IS 800 2007, that is our steel design code, because we would be referring a lot. That is our basic steel design code, right? So we would be using that steel design code for our discussion. So have a copy of IS 800 2007. If you have a hard copy, it is better. Have a notebook and a pen and a calculator with you, because we would be solving lot of we would be doing lot of calculations, because design will involve calculations. So it would be good if you have if you have some calculators handy with you, and if you have some I mean if you are able to do calculations as we discuss, it would be beneficial for you. Then this we have observed that generally people, those who are using some limited data plans, you need to have around 300 to 400 MB of internet data with you to be able to watch one session. So ensure that yes, this thing, we will ensure that your videos, your audios are on. We will be keeping all of you on mute during the session, so that there is no there is no disturbance that is created. So we would be keeping you, all of you, on mute, and whatever questions you have, you can ask all those questions during the final time which we allot for doubt solving. Okay, so this would be one thing. Yeah, and this is some common thing. We all now understand that it is important to maintain self discipline and everything. This I will not need to emphasize more. So this is our introductory session that we have had. After this, we would be sending you one response form where you can indicate whether you want to join or not. And then if you want to join, we would be starting from 26th of October, that is Monday. So from Monday 26th of October, 7:30 p.m. we would be starting. Okay. Uh, we would be starting our course, and if you want to join, then you have to first make the payment for the course fee. We take the course fee as an advance, and we would be taking rupees 2500 for this course. So you can transfer that amount via UPI or by account transfer. We will be sharing you the details, so you can do that. And then once you do your you fill the response form, and once you make your payment for the fee, then we would be adding you to another WhatsApp group, where we would be giving you the daily links for joining, and other whatever data and whatever documents we want to share, we would be sharing with you. Even if you do not wish to attend, it is perfectly all right. But we would request you to be on this group that you are right now on, so that whatever updates and whatever ideas and information that we generally share, that would be that can be sent to you. Okay. So this is how we proceed ahead. Then, yes, thank you for patiently listening. And now we will take all your questions. Uh, by all, I mean by every question that you have had, we will take. Okay, so one by one we will take questions. The few questions that I just saw, I will cover. So Mr. Sahil was asking that if he has taken an earlier course on pre-engineered building sheds with us, does he need to take this course again? So you should not take this course again, because you have already understood all the basic design principles that were discussed during the pre-engineered shed course. So many of the things would be repeated because concepts have to be built. So all those things would be repetitive for you. So if you have done the STC2 course with us, where we did plate girder section design and PEB design, then this course would be repetitive. So I would say that no need for you to take. Okay. Then there are questions. Mr. Selvaraj is asking to please include ETABs in the course. Why we do not include ETABs, I will tell you. See, what happens is that in STAT, it has a very powerful feature that is called as section wizard. Okay. And this section wizard actually allows you to take or it allows you to create any section that you want to have. As I told you, in steel sections or in steel design, generally we have to be creative and we have to use our imagination to use different sections and assemble those different sections together to create a composite section which we use. Okay, so there is no, there is no other reason as such not to use ETABs, but for this very basic reason that STAT Pro gives you this feature that is called a section wizard, and it is an extremely powerful feature that helps you in assembling various sections to create a composite section that we can use. Okay, so for this very reason, even though STAT has some limitations as compared to ETABs, but because of this very wonderful feature that it has, we still prefer to use STAT over ETABs, especially for steel design. Okay, otherwise we do not have anything against ETABs as such, but due to this very powerful feature of STAT, generally you will see structural steel designers generally prefer STAT Pro over ETABs, at least for steel design. Understood? For this only reason. Otherwise, there is no other reason. Mr. Selvaraj is continuing that at least take one introductory session on ETABs with steel buildings. Some industries are using ETABs. So what I can do that at the very end, when we are done with everything else, then we can have a short session where I make you understand all these issues quickly on ETABs. That can be done. Yes, many of you are asking that why are we not including wind and earthquake in this course? So I understand that not including wind and earthquake can be a little surprising to the people. But the reason behind not including wind and earthquake is that it in itself requires lot of discussion, and lot of thorough discussion needs to be done before you understand the things about wind and earthquake. So generally, we believe that lots of knowledge at one time also sometimes is not receptible by the students. So we try to have one by one. So we therefore do not prefer mixing too many things in one course, because then the course loses its steam. So we would be focusing more on the gravity loads right now. Earthquake, I would like to tell you few aspects about wind and earthquake. Okay, but we would not be covering in great detail. Like we are going to start a course on earthquake design, I think from Monday. But that course in itself, we are taking it a 20-day course because we would be covering all the details of earthquake design. We are doing it for RCC right now. So we are going to take a 20-day course on design and detailing of RCC building for earthquake. So discussing earthquake also needs a lot of time and lot of considerations of all the issues. So therefore, we are not right now covering earthquake and wind over here. But for both, I will try to give you some basic outline for both these actions. Okay. We would be giving you certificates as someone was asking. After the course, we would be giving you a certificate to all the participants who have successfully completed the course. We would be giving you. Mr. Sharvan is asking, in future, are you going to consider session on wind and earthquake? Yes, so earthquake we are already going to start from Monday, but right now this session which we are going to start from Monday, we would be focusing more on RCC building. Okay, so we are going to cover earthquake by IS 1893 as well as IS 13920. That means the load calculation part and the ductile detailing and designing part. So we are going to cover that in a 20-day course starting on Monday. So similarly for wind also, we are going to have a separate course altogether where we will be discussing all the issues related to wind calculation. So I understand that you might be feeling it odd that wind and earthquake are right now not covered, but we believe that covering too many issues will do injustice with our core focus, that is the design for steel structures. Okay, load calculation. See, once you have the concepts ready with you for steel design, then load calculation is an independent part that can always be understood. Once you have the basic understanding of steel section design and steel building design, then load calculation is an independent part that you can always anytime understand and just apply on your steel buildings. Okay. Someone is asking truss design. Yes, truss design I will tell you, because when we cover all these issues of steel building, generally the roofings are usually trusses. So we would be covering this truss issue also. See, wind, I will give you some basic understanding for wind, but I will not be going into too many details. Okay. Mr. Selvaraj is asking, will you include ETABS in next upcoming concrete design course? Yes, so concrete design course, we are already doing a concrete design course where we do it on ETABS. So that we already are doing. Harsh is asking, are we going to use RAM connection design for connections? We will try to go with manual connections. We will try to go with manual calculations, because RAM connection does not support your Indian standards in a very proper way, and there are some connections. There are generally a lot of site issues and lot of site decisions that basically affect your connection design. So connection design, we will try to keep it as in the manual form, maybe on Excel sheets and using formulae. Anchor bolt and base plate will be covered. Mr. Shubham is asking, so anchor bolt and base plate will be covered. Yes, it will be covered. Canopy design, it will be a part, because generally canopies are generally seen in your structural building systems. So canopy we will cover. Then what were the other questions? Somebody was asking about STAD, which version STAD, I think somebody was asking. So we will give you a link from where you can download a version of STAT Pro, an educational version of STAT Pro. We will be giving you a link for download, so you can use that link. But that is, I think, Select Series 5. Okay. So for that matter, any version of STAT that you have is, good enough. There is no issue with the version that you are using. Yes, truss design we will like to cover. Yes, we will cover truss design. And as I told you, some basic understanding of wind I will try to give you. Okay, but I will not go into great details about wind because there are lots of issues that have to be covered in wind design also. But I will try to give you some basic understanding of wind. Uh, Lima is asking, can you give details of earthquake course? Okay, so we are going to start this earthquake course, which we are right now sticking to RCC building systems, and more we are going to stick on RCC frame systems. Okay, movement frame systems. So we are going to cover all the aspects related to earthquake load calculation, then the earthquake based design and detailing. We will be covering all the issues related to RCC building. So all the load calculation issues and all the design detailing issues we will be covering. So this would be a morning course, mind you. This would be a morning course that we would be starting. And again, recorded sessions and everything else would be available. And this course we would be doing on ETABS. Dynamic, I would like to give a brief introduction about the response spectrum, but we would not be covering time history method as such, because right now we are trying to make a base for earthquake design and learn. I mean, we are trying to create a base for students so that they understand the issues of design and detailing about earthquakes. So we are not going into the dynamic methods for earthquake calculation. We would be trying to focus more on the equivalent static method, because right now we are focusing more on the design and detailing aspect of RCC building for earthquake forces. Okay, so I will give a brief introduction of the response spectrum method, but I would like to cover more about the equivalent static method, which is a basic method. So right now we are targeting people who are generally comfortable with gravity load design, but who do not know things about earthquake design. We are trying to cover such participants. Okay, and we are trying to, or we are going to focus more upon the design and detailing aspects. Okay, so Mr. Nilesh is asking what version of stat is required. So as I told you, you can use any version for that matter. Even if you are using your Connect edition, there are some. I would request you not to use Connect edition because there are some visual interface changes that are there in Connect edition. So sometimes you will find it difficult to identify a particular command and things like that. So instead of Connect edition, any edition that you would like to use, you may use your normal StatPro Select Series 4, 5, 6. Any edition that you may want to use, you may use. Yes, Mr. VS is asking. There was a question of Mr. VS. Where is the question? Yes, Mr. VS is asking for wind loads. We have to consider all the directions like 0, 90, 20, 270, 360. Yes, generally, we like to identify the, I would say, the critical direction of wind load. Generally, as a designer, we try to identify what is the critical direction, and we try to apply wind loads in that particular direction. ETABS gives you this feature, I would say, wherein you can apply wind loads in various angles, but STAT does not give you this feature. So either you have to do it manually, or you have to identify the critical directions for which your wind loads would be maximum. Okay. So I will give you a basic for this also. Mr. Jigar is asking in structural steel detailing what exactly you will be covering. Please give some info about that. So by structural steel detailing, I mean that how your steel sections should be, I mean, what should be the splicing detail, what should be your connection detail, how a member should be, by detailing. See, in RCC detailing, there are lots of issues to be understood. Generally, in steel detailing, there are not those many issues related to detailing that you have to understand. Generally, those would be your splicing details. They would be more on the connection side. They would be more on the section geometry that you are continuing. Wherever you are making some changes in your geometry, or wherever you are making some changes in your section, what are you doing over there? Your stiffeners and all those things. So by detailing, I basically mean that. Mr. Jeevan is asking, can I know the price for 30 days course on steel structure design? So we would be taking rupees 2500 from all the participants uh, uh, who wish to join this course. Okay, we generally keep a very nominal fee so that more and more students can take benefit out of it. Mr. VS is asking, is there an inclusion of SP64? So SP64 generally is more, I mean, it talks more about your ductile frames and all that. So I will give you a brief introduction about that. Mr. Ravi is asking, in StatPro, when we apply earthquake loads, there are two response reduction factors for ordinary movement resisting frame and special movement resisting frame. When we choose special movement frame, then at what position we need to model shear wall. But I think you are getting confused. Are you talking about shear walls in steel frames? As in when we use steel plate kind of a thing? Because when we are doing our steel movement frame, in itself, it means that you are going for a movement frame, right? You are not going for shear wall. So in steel sections, I mean, when you are talking about steel building system, you do or you try to do more about the movement frame concept. Generally, shear walls or a steel plate which acts as a shear wall is generally not provided in steel buildings. Generally, okay, all right. Yes, Mr. Sahil was asking, will design by hollow sections be something additional in this course and different from PEB course? See, hollow sections during the PEB course also we discussed some basic concepts regarding the hollow sections. So, once you have the basics clear about the steel design from the earlier course, which you have already attended, STC2 that you have already attended, so I don't think there would be much difference in this course. So I would recommend not to join. I mean, I'm only saying those people who have attended a steel design course with us in the past, I'm saying to them only, I'm not saying to everyone else not to join. I'm saying to them that there is no need for them to join who have already done STC2, that was the steel design course with us. Okay. Mr. Jeevan is asking, can I know when steel structure design is going to be started? We would be starting from Monday, 26th of October, 7:30 p.m. Okay, Mr. Ravi is asking, in a RCC frame, shear wall can resist the lateral load. Yes, yes, that's what I was trying to tell you, that in steel frames we generally do not go for shear walls. In RCC frames, you would be going with shear walls. So your question is, at what position we need to model shear walls? So generally we try to model shear walls at positions which do not generate torsional, plant torsional effect in your structure. Okay. So if you try to provide shear walls at the center of your building plan in RCC building, then it leads to plant torsional effects which are not, which are not of benefit to us structurally. So we try to avoid these plant torsional effects that arise in shear walls when they are placed near to the center of our floor plan. So we try to place our shear wall as far as from the center on the outer periphery. So as far as possible, we will try to place shear walls on the peripheral edges of our building. Mr. Satyendra is asking, understanding of IS 800 1964, 1984 is enough or 19 okay, yes. So, see, generally, there are two codes. I mean, there is one code only now, but there was an earlier design code that was IS 800 1984, which was in practice for a long time, which was a working stress based code that was being used. Then in 2007, IS 800 it got revised, and it had some major revisions because it changed its philosophy from working stress design to limit state design. And now they have put working stress based design in a small section, but the main code is now based upon the limit state method. And with that change in this approach, they have also tried to rationalize few concepts in IS 800 2007. So there are some new I would say some new concepts that have been introduced, like section classification is a concept that was not earlier present in the 84 code. Then you did not have your buckling classes that you have now. There are some there are some different limit states that have been introduced, which were not introduced in the 84 code. So there are some calculation differences that have been introduced in the new code, which you should understand. Okay, because now uh, people have started using 800 2007. Earlier, they were still more comfortable with using 84 code. Even when we did our engineering, we did our engineering in by learning IS 800 1984. Okay, so even when we started practicing, we used to do the 1984 code only because we were more comfortable with that. But now we have eventually picked up 800 2007, and now we do our designs in 2007. Okay. Mr. Jigar is asking, is it possible to model castellated sections in your STAD? So castellated sections will not be possible directly. Why? Because we are modeling our beams as line elements. We are not modeling our beams as shell elements or solid elements. So introducing castellations will not be possible in your STAD directly. So there would be some indirect methods where we would be trying to provide the effective area of cross section to our castellated beam, and then we would be trying to do it manually. Okay, so indirect method is available, direct is not available. Mr. Arun is asking, I have no knowledge on the limit state based method of steel design. I know only 84, 884. So yes, yes, of course. That's why we are here, right? We would be covering limit state based method from the very beginning. So even if you do not know anything about limit state method, we would be covering all those issues here. Okay. Mr. Satyendra is asking, time could be 6:30 or 7 p.m. So generally we have found that 6:30 or 7 is generally early for the office going people, and this 7 p.m. is, I mean, somewhere in the middle. It is right, not comfortable for the office going people, also not comfortable for anyone. So we would like to keep it at 7:30. You can have your early dinner. Okay. We also have started taking early dinners since the time we have started taking online courses. So we take our dinner by 7 p.m. and it feels very good. Okay. So you also tweak your routine a little bit and start taking your dinner at 7:30. And it would be, you will feel very good if you start taking early dinner. Okay. So we would be sticking to 7:30. Yes, feedback form or the response form as we call it, I will be sharing after the class. Mr. VS is asking, can you suggest book for steel structures? One book which I personally read is Subramanyam. It is a book by Mr. N. Subramanyam. That is a good book, and I also personally refer to that book. And you find lots of theoretical aspects, and Mr. Subramanyam also covers lot of international codes, and it he covers international codes also in that book. So I personally think that Subramanyam is a good book to study.
Are we going to use OpenStack?
OpenStat generally is a template kind of a thing. Instead of, I mean, there is no need to use OpenStat as such.
Take another course for those excluded topics.
Mr. Arun is asking, will you be covering welding as well as bolted? Yes, both we would be covering. We would be covering welded also and bolted also, of course. Excluded topics, somebody from YouTube is asking, would we be covering or would we be covering issues? I think the exclusions we would be covering in separate courses, as I have told you, that we have planned a course for earthquake, we have planned a separate course for wind in future we would be planning. So yes, we would be covering. Could it be possible to share StatPro software for practice? Yes, I will be sharing you a Google Sheet with all of you. So just put in your names, and then I will send you a download link from where you can download and install the educational version for StatPro. Okay, I will be doing that. Maybe by tomorrow I would be sharing you that link. Yes, any more questions? Mr. Arun is asking foundation base. Yes, foundation base plates and anchor bolts will be covered. We would be covering anchor bolt design as well as the base plate design. So that will be our ending point of design. Okay, we would be covering everything till base plate and anchor bolt, because from there onwards you move to pedestals and RCC. I mean, then you move into RCC territory. So we would be covering everything till that point. Yes, Mr. Mayank is asking when to design shear connections and when to use moment connections. Of course, this will be covering when to go for moment based when to go for moment connections, when to go for shear connections. All these things we would be covering because these are important aspects related to steel design. So we will be covering this. Mr. VS has a problem. He personally finds this course will be helpful to me after clearing doubts, but he has this problem that wind load in detail will not be covered. Otherwise, this course is clear. So, see, I will give you some basic guidelines about wind load calculation. When I say I will not be covering in detail, that I mean, by that I mean that I would not be covering all the issues that are related to wind load design. Okay, because there are several issues related to wind load design. So all of them will not be possible for us to cover in the limited time period that we have. So some basic understanding of wind load calculation we will give you, so that you are able to calculate wind forces for your basic structures. Okay, we will ensure that you have some basic understanding and you are able to calculate wind forces for some basic structures. Mr. Arun is asking lacing and batten built up columns, etc. will be included. Yes, lacings and batten built up columns will be included. Because generally we do use built up columns a lot in our steel buildings. So we would be covering that. Yes, anything else? Any question that I may have missed? You may just put it again. Yes, Jain sir, I would like to tell you here that Jain sir was my MTech guide at IIT Roorkee, and I did my dissertation under him. So Jain sir was very happy that we are doing such a we are doing such a thing where we are sharing our knowledge with the students. So he was kind enough to tell us that he would also be taking some sessions for the benefit of students, for the benefit of student community. So he was very kind in his gesture that he told us that he would be taking some sessions for the benefit of students. So he would be taking some sessions. The topics, sir, sir will confirm the topic that he would be taking. He has not confirmed the topic that he would be taking till now, but he would be taking some sessions for the benefit of students. Mr. VS is asking, sir, strength and serviceability considered, combination in these two cases. Yes, yes, of course. We have to understand strength and serviceability both. So obviously we would be considering both. Mr. Arun is asking, in PB we have cold formed purlins and steel roofing sheets. Do we have this included? See, generally cold form again requires lot of different issues that need to be understood. So I can give you only a brief understanding, and I will just tell you what sections are usually applicable depending on the loads. But I will not like to go into great details. Okay. And about the checkered plates and steel decks, I will give you the design guidelines for designing the deck sheets. Deck sheet design is very simple. I mean, in itself, it is extremely complicated, but we have some design charts and some design, I would say, thumb rules, which you generally use, and you simplify the process of deck plate design. Okay. So otherwise, deck plate design is very complicated. So we do not go into that complicated design. The general practicing engineers I'm talking about. So the general practicing engineers try to simplify it by using some design charts for simplicity. Okay. Will we include mezzanine floor in live example? Yes, there would be floors. There would be we would be covering. We would be taking up an industrial building in our live example, because that will help you in understanding lot of issues. So I would try to take one industrial frame structure where lots of issues would be covered over there. Mr. Mayank is thanking me for, yes, thank you to you also. All right. Any more questions that we have? Mr. VS is asking, he works as a detailer in PEB industrial sheds. Will this course be helpful to me as it covers other structures also? Yes. So see, PEB detailing you already know. Now, by the end of this course, you would be aware of the design part also. Understood? So you would be clear with the design part for your normal members. Once you are clear with the design part for your normal members, whether those members are used in a building, or whether those members are used in a frame, or whether those members are used in a bridge, I mean, it does not make a lot of difference, right? So I certainly feel that it would be helpful. This course will be helpful for you. I would say it would be more helpful for you because you are working in the practical. I mean, you are working in the practical side of it. Okay, so it would be more helpful for you, I would say. Mr. Maz is asking about the feedback form. Yes, we would be sending you the form right now. After the class ends, we would be sending you that form. Okay, any more questions that we have? I would be sending the form in our group, all right? And I would be also sending you over the mail. Mr. VS is, yes, thank you, Mr. VS, thank you. Yes. Any more questions that we have? Yes, Mr. Abhijit is asking, would you please shed some light on the general conceptual design of lateral force resisting system? Yes, that I will do. I will do that. That we would be discussing how to conceptually understand a basic building system which is able to take lateral loads also, which is able to take gravity loads also. What are the strategies that are generally adopted for taking lateral loads, gravity loads? We would be discussing that. Yes, thank you, Mr. Mas, for your comments. So we also feel that we would be having a good time during this course, and whatever knowledge we can share, we would be sharing all the knowledge that we have with you, so that it makes a good learning experience for you also, and it would be a good learning experience for us also, because during every course that we have conducted, we have learned something new when we are teaching. Okay, so when we are teaching, we are also learning. So we also look forward to this course, that we also would be learning a lot of new things. You also would be learning a lot of new things. We will make sure about that. So it will be a good experience that together we all will have. Okay. Yes. Any more questions are there? Okay. So I think that's it. So if there are no more questions, then we will end our discussion. So thank you everyone. Thank you for patiently attending this session, and we had a good time discussing things with you, and we would look forward that all of you join the course, and we look forward to having a good time, because we are having a good mix of students. Some are practicing engineers, some are working professionals, some are faculty members, some are postgraduate students, undergraduate students, some are research scholars, PhDs. So there is a good mix of students that we are having, good mix of participants, those who are going to join. So it is always good to have a diverse learning group which enhances the overall experience of learning. Okay, so we all, both of us, me and Akanksha, are looking forward that all of you join, and we will see you on Monday. Mr. Mars has a question. Yes. Yes, please ask. Tekla we will not include. I myself, I am trying to learn Tekla. So once I learn Tekla, maybe from future courses I would include Tekla also, but not right now because I myself do not use how to know Tekla. Mr. Mukesh is asking, have we formed any group on WhatsApp? Yes, we have a group on WhatsApp. If you have filled the Google form, I think you must have seen the link for joining the WhatsApp group, or I will just write down my number in the chat box. You can just WhatsApp, send a WhatsApp message to me, and I will send you the link for the group that we currently have. Okay. So I have written my number over here in the chat box. Right. Okay, so that's it. Then, yes, it is N. Subramaniam. Yes, N. Subramaniam. Yes, it is a good book. You can refer that book. It gives you a lot of theoretical aspects also. It gives you a lot of comparisons between various international codes, vice versa, Indian codes. So it is a good book to refer to. And Mr. Subramaniam is also there on LinkedIn. So you can also try to connect him on LinkedIn for some further guidance. And Mr. Subramaniam sir also answers to queries that people have on LinkedIn. So you can join him on LinkedIn also. Yes, Mr. Mars is asking if you allow. Of course, you can send some books and codes that you have. Of course, Mr. Mars wants to share some books and codes in WhatsApp group, so you are most welcome to share it. Please do. Yes, so I think that's it. So thank you everyone for patiently listening, and we hope to see you all on Monday 7:30 p.m. Okay, so till then, have a good weekend and have a good the festival time is going around, so have a good festivity. Enjoy this time, and we will see you on Monday. Okay, so that's it. Good night, and thank you everyone. Bye bye.